Assalamu alaikum and good greetings. So today we'll be watching a video titled Andrew Tate Thinks Christianity is a Joke, in bracket response. So this is a video by What Do You Meme, and yeah, I'm interested to see his opinion on whatever it is that Andrew Tate said, I guess, in this video. Without further ado, let's watch.
Now, Andrew Tate has been popping up a lot online lately, and he's also a longtime critic of Christianity, going so far as to say that Christianity is a joke.
I think Christianity is a joke. I think it's a joke of a religion.
Now, I've heard that his views have changed a couple of times on this topic, and I'm not sure when this clip was taken, but when I saw it, I just knew that he was practically begging for a response. Now, not only do I believe that he's wrong about Christianity, but according to his standards of what a woman is, his views about Christianity would quite literally make him a woman. I know, you don't believe me, so hang tight and I'll show you why. Let's go ahead and start the clip.
I think Christianity is a joke. I think it's a joke of a religion. If someone were to ask me my religion, I would have to say, if I was to find God, it would have to be via Islam, because how am I going to go to a Christian church when they got gay pastors? The Bible says no, and you're just ignoring it. What is this? It's not even a thing. Like, to me, it's a joke of a religion now. I think it's a joke. So if you're gonna bend all your own rules, if you're gonna be tolerant of everything and stand for nothing, then I don't think you have any.
All right, let's stop right there. So, as you just heard, Tate seems to be making the point that he can't take Christianity seriously since Christians themselves don't take it seriously, and therefore he sees Christianity as a joke. Okay, a few quick thoughts about this. Okay, first, notice what he's not saying. He's not saying that he personally evaluated Christianity for what it teaches as a belief system, and he determined that it was a joke due to his own independent thoughts about it, but instead, his criticism of Christianity depends on what other people think about Christianity and them not standing up for it and defending it. So in other words, he's not evaluating Christianity based on what he independently thinks about it. Instead, he's evaluating Christians based on what they think about Christianity. But Christians aren't the same thing as Christianity.
Okay.
Now, even though he's painting with a broad brush when he talks about Christians and Muslims in a way that, honestly, I don't even entirely agree with. However, he does still make a fair point about some Christians compromising their message and not standing up for it and defending it. But what he doesn't seem to realize is that Christianity at its core is not a message about what we think or our ability to stand up for and defend God. But instead, the core message is about what God thinks about us and what he did in order to stand up for us and to defend us.
What? Of course, I do understand that Christians believe that God do things for us, for our sake, something like that, right? But so it's not about what Christian do as a Christian, meaning, well, yeah, okay. Is this a confirmation of my thought about Christianity as it is understood? Do not demand anything really, except for some verbal declaration. Is that true? Because whether or not you ignore the rules, etc., or even there's any rule, that's another thing. But going back to what Andrew Tate said about gay, LGBT, that is not accepted in Christianity, I assume that is correct. But people are just ignoring it. So ignoring it is not a significant issue or something in Christianity, because it's not really important what Christian do as a Christian. What is more important is how God see human. Is that, am I get it correct?
Christianity, God put on human flesh, came into our world, and lived the life that we couldn't in order to defend us from death. And he didn't do this because...
That's a very interesting point, right? Meaning that God have to do something for our sake that we cannot do ourselves, to save us, which implies that God have to do that because that's the rule or something, otherwise we cannot be saved, and God cannot simply save us without going through that or something. And did God set the rule himself and he cannot change it, even though, I don't know. Of course, I have never think that, you know, Christianity, the core of the belief, makes sense anyway, but I'm just trying to understand.
Because we're faithful, he did this because he's faithful. It's his faithfulness that the truth of Christianity depends on, not ours. As Paul the Apostle even put it, if Christ had not been raised from the dead, our preaching is useless and so is your faith. Or
What is the point is making here? Let's
end us from death. And he didn't do this because we're faithful. He did this because he's faithful.
He is referring to Jesus, right? Or God?
Doesn't seem to realize is that Christianity at its core is not a message about what we think or our ability to stand up for and defend God, but instead the core message is about what God thinks about us and what he did in order to stand up for us and to defend us.
So what God think about us and what God do to defend us, to save us, basically, right? Okay, so what God do, and then
in Christianity, God put on human flesh, came into our world, and lived the life that we couldn't in order to defend us from death.
So God get into the flesh, live that life to save us, okay?
And he didn't do this because we're faithful. He did this because he's faithful.
So God did not do it because we are faithful. God do it because he is faithful. What does that mean? Meaning God is faithful to human. What does that phrase mean? God is faithful. What does that mean? Because sometimes when I go through and listen to what Christians refer God, how they refer God, it seems like God is being a servant to us. Is that an accurate way of describing how Christians normally see God? Because God have to do something for us. It comes across as such.
It's his faithfulness that the truth of Christianity depends on, not ours.
So the faithfulness of God is what we are dependent on. Okay.
As Paul the Apostle even put it, if Christ had not been raised from the dead, our preaching is useless and so is your faith.
If Christ has not been raised, how is this even related? Because Christ being raised is not... What is this? Does Christ being raised actually representing more than just Christ being raised? Because otherwise I do not know what is the link.
Or maybe we could say, if Christ wasn't raised from the dead, then Christianity is a joke.
It's a joke of a religion.
But if I fail to stand up for and defend God, then that wouldn't make Christianity a joke of a religion, since Christianity doesn't need me and it doesn't depend on me at all. But what would make it a joke of a religion would depend on Christ not standing up for us or defending us, not the other way around. Now, at this point in the video, you might be starting...
Of course, okay. I think his point is in the sense that, because Andrew Tate, his comment is about the people of the religion, right? Meaning that the people are no longer taking the religion seriously, hence, so that word, when he says, it's in that context, at least from the clip that we have heard, and it's not really about, because he's not really serious about finding the truth or anything, of course. Okay, I'm accusing now and I'm judging, but from that clip itself, it doesn't come across as such. So yeah, so I don't think it, you know, even though he says as if, because if you take it just in text, right, the religion is a joke, then of course what this guy is saying is valid in the sense that why do you define religion like that, right, based on the people?
To see how all of this makes Tate a woman, or maybe you aren't seeing it yet. So, as you recall, Tate's argument seems to be that he doesn't take Christianity seriously because other people don't take it seriously, i.e. Christians. Or in other words, what he thinks about Christianity depends on what other people think about Christianity, and they'll not defend.
Well, he referred to other people. It sounds like other than Christian, but other people actually people, right? What people think.
The only problem is, according to his standards, this would actually make him a woman. No, really. If what he thinks about Christianity is based on what other people think, then according to him, that would put him in the woman's category as opposed to the man's category. I mean, go ahead and listen for yourself.
I believe that men are more capable of independent thought because I believe that men are more evolved for battle and war. So if we had an idea which nobody else agreed with, we're more capable of defending it. Women don't have the capability to defend themselves or their ideas. So they're going to go along with an idea they heard from somebody else in general, right?
Now, did you catch that? He's basically saying that one thing that separates a woman from a man is that a man can defend his own thoughts because his thoughts are independent of what other people think and do, whereas a woman can't defend her own thoughts, so her thoughts are dependent on what other people think and do. But if you recall his critique about Christianity, he didn't have his own independent thoughts about Christianity or the Bible itself that he defended. Instead, his critique entirely depended on what other people thought about Christianity and their ability to defend it. Isn't that what he just said women do? Depend on other people's...
Okay, so this is... I'll continue on, but I'm not sure whether this is more of critiquing Andrew Tate, which is no longer... Because I'm interested to see how this video responds with regard to Christianity being called, and he already addressed what he wanted. But this is more of going at Andrew Tate, right? So I don't even care who that guy is.
Thoughts and not think for themselves? Yeah.
Okay, so I think the comment is about you know, is Christianity a joke? Is already over. Yeah. Of course, what is there to comment for me? Because this is more of a response to, because Andrew Tate made a statement about Christianity, and yeah, he this is his response. I have heard, you know, I'm not sure. I think it's different clip, but Andrew Tate says something like that, of similar thing, and some Muslim actually forward that, but I think a longer part on the Islam part, where he said that Islam is the only people, or basically Muslim, right, that takes their religion seriously, blah blah blah, right? So some Muslim think that is like, oh, we you know, like an endorsement or something. That's another thing, right? That's another thing when even if you have something so valuable, so great, but you still require some validation or some encouragement or some good words from some others, especially those insignificant figures, then my question is, are you not in the first place convinced of how great you have, what you have, that you think so greatly of such statement? So that's my response to those Muslims that forwarded Andrew Tate video saying about Islam in a good light. Anyway, that's my view. Thank you for watching. See you next time.